Hey everybody, I'm back and I have here another book haul for you guys. And I'm going to call this my post-election book haul because I was in a real funk once I saw that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. It took me a while to try and get myself out of that funk. I've been reading pretty light reads. And you know, certain tasks and just kind of going through my daily life became pretty frustrating and difficult due to the election results. So now that I'm out of a funk, I'm kind of over all this light reading that I was doing, and it's back to business on my channel. It's back to business as me as somebody who talks about doing social justice work. And so a lot of my reads follow that path, and that is what brought me into the bookstore. I was going in for 3 titles, and I'll tell you about those titles, and I came out with so many extra things that I was not planning to buy. So I will have a couple things I didn't get from the bookstore, and then I have children's books that I got for Christmas for my little cousins. So the children's books will be at the very end of this haul. So if you are not interested in children's books, and I know I don't usually talk about children's books on this channel, so that'll be at the end if you are not interested. Alright, so the first thing I want to show you is what I got from my Muse monthly box. So it is a book and tea subscription box. So this was the first month that I subscribed and got something, and it came with The Mortifications by Derek Palacio. This is his debut novel, and it is about a Cuban family coming to America, which sounds very interesting to me. The creator of Muse Monthly lets you know what's in the monthly box before you decide to purchase. For example, I skipped the December box because I wasn't really interested in reading the December box's book. However, I do like the tea she picks, but that's not enough for me to pay over 30 bucks. So I am excited for this book. I haven't even heard much about this book also, so it might go up a little bit higher on my to-read list. And the tea that I got, so it's a sage rose white tea, and it is a loose tea. So those of you who aren't familiar with loose teas, it doesn't come in a tea bag. It's literally the tea leaves, and you have to measure the amount you need for your cup of tea. It tastes really good. I usually don't drink white tea, not because I don't like it, but it's just not something I gravitate towards. And the sage and the rose taste really, really good too. You might think it tastes like flowery or perfumey, but it doesn't taste that way at all. And it's from White, W-I-G-H-T Tea Company out in Baltimore, Maryland. And I'm actually not too far from Baltimore, Maryland, so I might have to check them out if I'm in the area. Alright, so going into the books that I bought from my place of work, of course, because, you know, why would you not buy from a place where you have a discount, right? Alright, so the first book I got, and which is one of the original books I meant to pick up that day, is $40 Million Slaves by William C. Rhoden, and it's the rise, fall, and redemption of the black athlete. So this book is pretty controversial. It's nonfiction, and it's basically talking about how black athletes have become wealthy slaves, you know, giving up their bodies to make someone else richer, even though, like, they are getting money. But when you think about the hierarchy of sports and the people who own the teams and who own the arenas, they are majority, you know, white men who have control of them and their careers. So when I was looking for this book, my coworker actually mentioned, he was like, oh yeah, that book, and he saw the cover, he was like, oh yeah, this totally caused a lot of controversy and pissed a lot of people off when it came out. And I like reading stuff like that every now and then, so this will be interesting. I'm also buddy reading this with Cal Lewis over at CALLewisATL. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have picked this up on my own, so there you go. The next book I picked up from the remainder section of the store because getting a discount on top of a discount is a great idea. And this one is The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray by Walter Mosley. Rincey at Rincey Reads recently reviewed this in like a book wrap-up or something of that nature. And it's about a 90-year-old man who loses his grandnephew and becomes a friend of one of his grandnephew's former friends. She's about 19 years old, so it's about their friendship, and I think something romantic happens into it, which is a little creepy, but still interesting enough. I want to see how that plays out. I've also met Walter Mosley. He has just put out a new book. It's not a fiction novel either. It's more of like a political piece, and it's really short, but he's a great guy to like chop it up with. And so funny, like I always think like people don't look exactly how they look in their picture. No, he looks exactly like he does in his like little author picture. So this was cheap. It was on my radar, so you know it came home with me, of course. And the next one I bought was Plot, and it is poems by Claudia Rankine. Majority of people know her from her latest collection of poetry called Citizen. This one is about pregnancy, childbirth, and artistic expression, and it follows like one main character, so I'm guessing is like a compilation of poems that make up a larger story. She is my favorite poet. Her book Don't Let Me Be Lonely is one of my favorite books, and it really got me interested in poetry when I was having a tough time actually learning about poetry when I was in grad school. So this is her third book. It was also in the remainder room, so it had to come home with me. And so this one was not on sale, but White is for Witching by Helen Oyeyemi has been on my list for a while as well. It's about a generation of women who grow up in this like haunted house, and the main character has an eating disorder called pica, where she eats non-food items and she craves those items. So it says that on the back that it is at once an unforgettable mystery and a meditation on race, nationality, and female legacies. White is for Witching is a boldly original, terrifying, and elegant novel by prodigious talent. So that's right up my alley. I really enjoyed Boy Snowbird by Helen Oyeyemi, and I'm excited to read this one as well. So I might be getting to this one sooner than later. We'll see. And the next one I bought on a whim and thinking about the election. So I bought Bernie Sanders' book, Our Revolution, and this just came out this past week. He also did a talk at the George Washington University this past week as well, and I was watching a bit of that on YouTube. I'll most likely link that down below if you want to check it out. I am one of the people who voted for Bernie in the primaries, so I still, you know, adore Bernie Sanders as a political kind of influencer and just being in politics in general. And like, I like calling him Uncle Bernie because like, don't he look like, you know, he looks cool. He looks like he could be somebody's uncle. So I just like low-key call him Uncle Bernie. And then I flipped it open, and this is so beautiful, you guys. I mean, I'm pretty sure these are Bernie Bros, which are actually kind of, you know, they can be kind of annoying. But I mean, that's beautiful. I mean, it's just a beautiful book. It's nothing really on the outside, but the inside opening up, this is something that most likely won't get dirty. So if you have somebody who's like really into politics, who's definitely like a diehard like Democrat, or you know, somebody that like loves Bernie Sanders, I would suggest picking this up for them or yourself. And here's the second book I originally went to the bookstore for, and it is They Can't Kill Us All by Wesley Lowery. He also did a discussion this past week in DC about his book. He is a up-and-coming journalist. I think he is pretty much under 30. He's under 30 years old, and you know, they're out here comparing him to Ta-Nehisi Coates, which is a big compliment. He was one of the journalists that were on the ground in Ferguson when the first uprisings happened. He was also a journalist that was caught up in like the tear gassing. I think he even got jailed at one point. I'm not sure about that, but he was also live tweeting during the Ferguson uprising back when Michael Brown was unfortunately murdered. And so I mean, I had to have this book, and I'm probably going to buddy read it with Cal whenever he gets it. And I also picked up a copy for my aunt because I was like, well, it deals with the police and a police state. So I know that's right up her alley. And literally, I bought these books on a Friday, and then Saturday morning, she texts me, and she's like, do you have They Can't Kill Us All at your store? So I called her, and I told her, happy early birthday, the book's waiting for you at the house. And that was pretty funny because I bought it for her as a birthday present. So I gave that to her last night, and that's it. That's her birthday gift. So I would consider other people, if you're interested in, you know, this book, the ideas that are most likely in this book. If you were interested in reading Mark Lamont Hill's book, this one looks like it's going to be better. And I watched a quick interview that he did, I think, with The Daily Show, whichever one Trevor Noah's on, I think. He sounded legit, guys. I'm excited to read this, and I'll definitely be reading this in the next week or two. And on going back to books I got from the remainder room, this is the other Claudia Rankine novel, well, not novel, book of poems that I bought, The End of the Alphabet. And this one is about despair, recovery, selfhood, and alienation, which is similar to the topics in her favorite book of poetry of mine. And so it was cheap. I got a discount on it, and it came home with me. So apparently this is her second book, and Plot is her third. So I wonder what her first book of poetry is. Now I'm like, maybe I should just go pick that up. And I like reading poems and poetry books that are short in the middle of kind of reading other bigger, longer, heavier things. Not to say that poetry can't be heavy, but that's usually how I like to switch it up. So the next two books, and I'll explain why they're two, I got from the remainders as well. And this is Jesmyn Ward's Men We Reaped. This is probably my favorite book of 2016, even though this came out in 2013. She is like now one of my favorite authors. So why not have a hard copy? I'm planning on doing a giveaway soon. So one of these copies is probably going to go with the giveaway winner. So please look out for that. It'll most likely be in December. And the truth is, I don't know if I actually need to keep both of these because I pretty much didn't mark up my original copy of the paperback. But I'm very attached to her as a reader. So I think I'm just going to keep one anyways. All right. The next one is also a new release, but I got this kind of when I was looking at Bernie's book. I remembered I saw this book, and it is the graphic biography of Muhammad Ali. And what sold me on it is the illustrations, because this right here is a chart of like actual, you know, figures from history, but these are the people that play a role in his life. Something like this. Yeah, I saw pages like this, and I was like, yeah, I definitely need to pick this book up. And it's something I know I'm probably going to keep. It's something I probably would like to share with somebody like my father who likes comics. I'm trying to get more of my family members to read. So maybe I can pass this off after I read it. Pass this off to my dad, and he might be interested in it. Hopefully. Let's cross our fingers. And the third book that I originally went into the bookstore for was We Too Sing America, and says South Asian, Arab, Muslim, and Sikh immigrants shape our multiracial future by Deepa Iyer. So I've ran across this book before, and then it came back to my attention before the election, ironically, when my coworker was talking about how the author came in the store. So he ended up putting it out on display because she was so nice, and she was looking for her book, but she was a little bit more subtle about it. So he did this favor for her. Due to the current political climate, I thought this was something that was important. Even though I have friends who would identify as some of the people she is talking about in this book, I don't know much about the communities at large. So I am definitely going to be reading this in the next few weeks. And I wish some of these hardback books were in paperback, of course, but let me just buy them now. I can't promise that I'll still go pick them up when they come in paperback. I mean, that's like our book worries, right? Don't we just love, like, paperbacks are just so much easier to, like, carry around, and you don't feel as, like, stressed about keeping them in pristine condition. Or at least I don't. And so, to kind of wrap up all the adult books that I bought for myself, and some of them are gifts, I also ended up getting this Zadie Smith Swing Time tote bag. So I lucked up and got this one for free because she did an event with the bookstore I work at recently. They had a huge discussion with her, and if you bought one of her books, you got one of these tote bags. So I schemed my way into the right person's office and was like, hey, where are those Zadie Smith tote bags? Can I get one? I missed, so they had tote bags for when Britt Bennett came that matched her book cover for the mothers, and those are totally gone, even though they're really beautiful. But once I got this, I was happy, but I don't think I'll actually carry it. So I'm thinking most likely this will go into the giveaway that I have coming up, because I feel like one of my subscribers will more than likely enjoy this than I will, and I feel like it's just too good of a thing to kind of pass up. Alright, so, and to go into the children's books I bought, I have a lot of baby cousins now, and I'm starting to get their Christmas gifts along with other people's Christmas gifts. So all of them are majority getting books. I have like 2 cousins who are super small. They might not get a book, but the ones that are older and in school, they're getting books. So I ended up getting this one for like my oldest of my baby cousins, and it's called The Story of Diva and Fleed. She's in the 3rd grade, and this is age and reading level appropriate, which is what I was looking for. So it's basically about this bougie dog who ends up hanging out with this cat called Flea, because he lives like, he's like a wild cat, or like a stray cat, I should say. And they go on an adventure together. So there's illustrations in here along with words. So this is something she could definitely stay interested in, and I think her mom will approve of. Yeah, so her mom, I don't mean no shade because my cousin knows who I'm talking about if she watches this video, but her mom kind of keeps her away from things that are super girly, super feminine. So I think this is a good medium for her, and her mom would approve of the book. And this next one is for my younger cousin who is a boy, so he's like right under my girl cousin, and this one's called Battle Bunny. And I got this one because the lady at the store talked about how, number one, it was age and grade appropriate, but so apparently like a little boy gets like one of those Golden Bunny books, that might be like those little old books that that have the gold edge on it. He gets one of those, and he's just way too old for it as a gift. So what he does is he chops up the book and turns it into his own story. So it says, I am the birthday bunny, but he changed it into, I am the battle bunny. So he draws all the military gear on him, and there's somebody sneaking out looking through his window, and he made it into a story that he would probably prefer, not probably, but he'd prefer. And so I think this is funny because, and a great way to read, because the lady at the store said you can read it two ways. You can read the original words first and then go back and read the write-ins, you know, which I think is hilarious. So I would love, hopefully he's coming up here during the holidays, and I would love to sit down and read this with him. And I know his mom will approve. All right, and so the next two were remainders, and they're for my younger cousins who are about like 4. So this is Harlem Renaissance Party in Bronzeville. So they're illustrated. This one's written and illustrated by the same person who illustrated this book with Gwendolyn Brooks. So this book is about the a child in Harlem learning about the Harlem Renaissance. And this one is a book of illustrated poems by Gwendolyn Brooks about childhood and the freedom of childhood and growing up in Bronzeville, Chicago. So I picked those two up. I'm still not done my Christmas shopping. Unfortunately, this is just kind of like a dent in the overall process of holiday shopping. And it also made me feel better for buying all these books for myself that I shouldn't have. So yeah, thanks for watching this haul. Let me know what you think, if you're interested in any of these books, if you have read any of these books, and maybe any more book ideas for like young kids for Christmas. I'm totally looking out for those. And yes, I will see you later. Bye.